Dolorosa, that's what it's called. The long road to victory. Nobody would ever think that the cross was a victorious place. The cross was the worst death that you could suffer at that time. We don't really understand crucifixion because it was literal torture. This was not like capital punishment where they lay you on a gurney and put a little needle in you and you go to sleep. This was torture. This was not the hanging that we saw in the Wild West. They put you on the gallows and they hung you. This was torture. And not only was Jesus tortured at the cross and through having to walk down this long road, this Via Dolorosa, which was a very, very narrow street, and there was people, and he was literally being crushed from all of it. The weight of the beam, the weight of all the people. You know what it's like to walk through a crowd? You ever really been in a really tight crowd? You feel like you're suffocating. You can't get enough oxygen because everyone's taking the air around you. I've been through some crowds. We've been to some arenas with the teenagers when we went to day one and there were 75,000 teenagers in the dome. There were times you were in the hallway and you just felt like you couldn't breathe. There was not enough air in the room. And I can imagine, even though he's outside, this is how it was feeling. It's very, very stifling. And Jesus carried his cross. He was judged and he was mocked. How could the cross be a place of victory? See, Satan thought he had him. The world thought that they had him. Rome was sure that they could squelch any more uprising from the Jewish people if they just did this. We'll give you the death of Christ and that'll make you happy. It still wasn't good enough because even after he died, they forced them to then intervene and go seal the tomb because somebody might steal the body. They were so scared of him actually resurrecting like he said he was going to. The funny thing is, if he's really God, your seal's not going to hold. That's right. It was rope, metal, and wax. Do you think that's going to hold God? I don't think so. Jesus carried his cross. He was judged and he was mocked. If just maybe, if Jesus hadn't blasphemed, then he would still be alive. He wouldn't be carrying a cross. I'm sure there was people who thought that when they watched him go past him. Jesus carried his cross down this long, narrow street, bloodied and beaten. But maybe if he just hadn't healed the blind man on the Sabbath, maybe if he just hadn't ticked off the Sadducees and the Pharisees, it wasn't really Rome that he upset, it was the religious leaders he upset. Christ as king being texted has upset some Jews because they don't see him as king. It's upset this week the crowd who says, how is he king? Right. He died. He's not even here no more. Yeah, he is. And he's coming back. Yes, he is. So it's upset some people. The truth always upsets people. Healing somebody on a blind man on the Sabbath upset the stuff of that day, the religion of that day. But he was just doing the Father's will. But if he hadn't done it, he wouldn't have been crucified, but he did it anyway. I'm sure when you watch The Chosen and you're watching them follow Jesus, they're kind of like, why are you doing that? You're just making us a target. And I was like, that is what they thought. They didn't fully understand. Even though Jesus sat and told them, I'm going to die, I'm going to be resurrected 3 days later, he told them in detail. Just like Jonah was in the belly of the whale, in the belly of the fish, for 3 days and 3 nights, I'm going to be in the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. He told them all of this. And we've taught you guys very well, Good Friday is not Good Friday. It's Wednesday. I was listening to a minister yesterday, and he was talking about that, and he said, before you shoot me, let me tell you, you just got to understand how the Sabbaths went and how all this fell. He said, when Jesus said, I'm going to be in the heart of the earth 3 days, 3 nights. When he said 3 nights, he meant it. There's no happenstance on that. There was an exact. This was not a metaphoric word. When God gives a prophecy, he fulfills it to detail. Jesus actually was born exactly to the day and the year and everything that Daniel prophesied his birth. Perfectly. His death, everything was perfect. Jesus' bones were not broken. That was prophesied in the Old Testament. He would be crucified. Crucifixion didn't even exist when it was prophesied. And yet the Romans, there's no doubt he died. I've taught on this before too. There's no doubt that he died because Roman crucifixion was very thorough. Not only was it torturous, but they knew how to kill people. That's what they knew. They knew what to do to make sure that you were dead. And when the spear was thrusted up in his side and blood and water came out, that's because everything was going up to his heart to try to save him. That was his last. But he'd already given up his spirit. Jesus said, no one takes my life from me, I give it. He laid it down as a sacrifice. He fulfilled. But he carried his cross